Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final Playday for the regular season here for APAC South. It's Playday number 7. It's filled with storylines. The battle for first place is just beginning, really, as we get into the final Playday. Of course, joining me on the virtual desk is the ever-wonderful Def Marta, and then Guz.
Really, just Guz. He doesn't get an
Just
epithet
Guz.
like I do. Wow, feels bad, man.
That's all right. I'm sure tonight's broadcast will make up for that disappointing intro.
Oh, jeez. Look at that. The love all round. Look, it's going to be an amazing night of Siege. So many storylines, as I mentioned before, to unfold. Playoff positions, first place, and last place as well. So let's look at the standings and recap where we are at coming into the final Playday. And Dev, as I mentioned, so many different ways this standing can finish by the end of the night.
That's it. You've got two teams already locked in for playoffs. That's the top two, Elevate and Knights, but we still haven't determined which of those takes that number 1 spot straight through to that stage championship final against the best team from APAC North. And then almost everyone in the middle pack there is still viable for playoffs, all 3rd through 6th. And then, of course, 7th and 8th, the two teams we expected at the start of this season to top the standings, Giants, after such an amazing performance in 2020 are now sitting at the bottom. Those two teams, Wildcard and Giants, will play off in what is essentially a last place match at the end of tonight.
And the cheeky little storyline, or even coincidence if you would, is that we have 1st versus 2nd, 3rd versus 4th, 5th versus 6th, and 7th versus 8th in the last Playday. Like, you just could not script it.
No, you couldn't script it, and full warning to everyone watching, this is, of course, not scripted. This is just what APAC South Division looks like every single Playday. Something different, something crazy happens. It's such a fun and versatile region. Let's go and have a look at the schedule for today, as sort of Guz alluded to, the matchups as a whole. Now, in terms of the order, though, well, Order versus Chiefs will be the first match. I got that little barn burner in there. And then, of course, speaking of barn burners, I'll throw it to you for this one, Guz. Knights versus Elevate. It doesn't get any bigger than this.
It doesn't. It's 1st versus 2nd, and they are vying for the top position in APAC South. And a quick reminder to everyone at home, if you finish 1st at the end of the regular season, you qualify for the championship match, and you'll take on the 1st place team from APAC North, which is just a huge contest and big implications, right? 6 invitational points on the line. Massive.
Yeah, it's super exciting here. Every single one of these games has a massive impact. That first place match is going to be really exciting. We haven't seen Elevate and Knights clash before. It's a chance for Thailand to have a shot at being the best in APAC. You know, Xavier, or rather the Elevate guys, now, all last year they were 3rd or 4th consistently. Knights always the bridesmaid to wildcards. So this is a chance for both teams to break out into their own identity. And as we break down further, 7th Heaven Q confirm, whoever wins that will go to playoffs, just like that Order Chiefs game. And then at the end of it, Wildcard Giants. I mean, what a historic set of teams that we have. Legends of the game at the bottom of the standings. Who is going to be embarrassed and in last place come the final Playday of this inaugural season of APAC South?
Oh, geez. Have you got a time machine, Dev? Can you tell us what happens at the end of the year? Look, it's a shocker, that's for sure, to see Wildcard and Giants down the bottom. You know who else is down the bottom, though, on our predictions table? It's actually Dev and Manic. Down the bottom, 12 and 12, 50% strike rate. But Guz, you lead the way, 14 and 10. But while you sort of dissect your lead here going into the final play day, how about the fact that this final prediction day is as versatile as ever?
Yeah, I do just want to preface these predictions and say that some collusion has been undertaken. You've clearly, I was the first to put my predictions in. You've clearly just decided to go the complete opposite in the first 3 games to be any chance of beating me, but I'm confident in my games. No, not really. Every game, 50-50. Again, it's so close, the margin's on the scoreboard, and we have seen time and time again, no matter how big or small the margin really is, just how compact the league really is at the end of the day. And all of these matches literally flip a coin, and you're probably going to have a better job at guessing who's going to win.
Well, isn't that just what happened last Playday with Manic? He literally flipped a coin for every game, and he got all 4 correct. And meanwhile, the rest of us chumps actually try to predict, and we have egg on our face. Now, yeah, definitely a lot of upset potentials. It's hard to even call a lot of these games like upsets either way. I think that almost every single one of these matches is so close that you can't pick it either way, and you can't call if one team wins the expectation and the other team wins the upset. I think the only exception might be that Wildcard Giants game. With Wildcard's current form, they're definitely the underdogs. I picked them just because no one else did, and I wanted someone there to say, guys, anything can happen, and if Giants end up on the bottom of the standings, what a kind of like laughing while crying moment that would be for everyone who's been watching APAC over the last year.
I kind of contemplated going for wildcard as well, Dev, but I just couldn't. I feel like Giants got too much here. Obviously, they can't make playoffs, goes without saying, but pride, Dev, surely pride gets Giants over the line. They can't end the season, surely, in last place. Let's now start to turn our attention, though, to the games themselves. And, of course, what better one to go to first but the first match of the day, which is going to be Order versus Chiefs. And, Dev, this is 50-50. This is either way. But most importantly, there's a playoff spot on the line.
That's it. The super exciting thing here is whichever team wins this game goes to playoffs. Now, there is that one tiny scenario where Order wins in overtime and Seventh Heaven later on beats Q-Confirm in overtime, in which case Order will actually not make it. They lose the head-to-head against those teams. But the nuts and bolts of it is this. Whoever wins right here, right now, goes to playoffs. These two teams have such a rivalry going, and they are so closely matched. They played each other in OCN just the other day, the Nationals that these two teams play in, and Order only just won 8-7. That is as close as you can possibly get.
Yeah, and that 8-7 literally came down to a 1 versus 1 with 1 second to go. Like, as close as a match can literally get, that one was. And it does beckon a new rivalry being formed here. I mean, you just can't separate these teams.
No, you can't. Obviously, we're going to have to separate them in some way. And hopefully, for Order's sake here, Specker has maybe found that magical box, Guz. As he said, it's all about 95% mental. And in a game like this, it probably is 100% mental. We know how close these teams match up mechanically. But at the end of the day, it's almost like this external pressure is going to be on both of the teams.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up really well. It'll come down to which team shows up on the day and doesn't let that pressure mount too much. I think one player to touch on it, I don't want to touch on it too much because I'm sure Dev has a lot to say about it, but it's actually itB Style. This is going to be his last ever game of competitive Siege inside of the server. And he has been around inside of the APAC region and more locally in ANZ for literally years. He was here well before I was. And yeah, I mean, it's just a testament to how long he's been able to stay around and perform at a really high level. And Dev, there is a very special number that he's trying to reach tonight.
That's it. Over the last, 4 Playdays of APAC South, this man has shot up and managed to achieve 62 kills to 32 deaths. That's a 1.9 kill-death ratio, and he told me he is gunning to, in this game, make it 2.0. So that is a massive swan song achievement goal that itB Style has set in his sights, and honestly, I think it is totally achievable.
Their opponents, though, of course, it's what is seemingly their arch rivals in the Oceanic region. The Chiefs are coming in, of course, still new to Siege in general, Dev, but both of these two organizations have got a rich rivalry in other esports titles. And what better way to introduce that rivalry to Siege than a match like this? This team, the Chiefs, they are a team that can either be the best team in the region or arguably the worst. Inconsistencies, definitely something that follows them around. Can they put it all together tonight and get into the playoffs?
Yeah, it's quite funny, really. The inconsistency, I think, is the perfect word to describe this roster because they've had some pretty dreadful games. They went 2-7 against Elevate just last week, and then in their most recent game, they 7-0'd Q-Confirm. And Q-Confirm, playing with Healthcare, their star player, couldn't even find a single round against the Chiefs. So I think this is a roster that has so much potential. The revitalization now with obviously bringing on Fisho Guy onto the lineup from the former Melon Cat, and then also bringing on the Chiefs, that massive Australian organization behind them. It's just a whole new wave of motivation that we've seen come to this team. And I'm really confident in their abilities, as is reflected, I think, by the predictions, where I think most people, despite Order winning the last game between these two teams, 3 out of 5 of us picked Chiefs for this match.
And we have seen this potential develop into fruition. I mean, it was only Tuesday where they 7-0'd an opponent. It was the only 7-0 so far in APAC South against Q Confirm, and one player in particular that really showed up in that match was God Legion. He went 11-3, and it's probably fair to say that more recently his form has been a little bit sketchy here and there, but when he shows up in the server, his team tends to perform really, really well. So this may well come down to a battle of God Legion and Ippy Star.
Could very well, as you said, both players arguably in the best form of their careers. And Ippy Star's just maybe about to finish his career. We'll see if he can get the big 2.0 KDR at some point tonight. Let's go and have a look at the map, though, and where these two teams are going to be playing in this best of one, which will determine their season. We get a full repeat dev of the OCN matchup that, of course, played out on Coastline, where it went 8-7.
Yeah, this is so exciting. Coastline is one of those maps where absolutely anything can happen, and we've seen these teams play it. How many days ago was that? It was the 11th of April, 4 days ago. They played this for their final game, or their second to final game of OCN. This is massive, and such an exciting prospect. Both of those teams coming out of that game, we've spoken to both of them since. They knew exactly where they went wrong. They knew every single mistake, and ever since then they have been working to fill those gaps in their knowledge and in their execution, and we get to see what they've got in store for us today. It's so good.
Yeah, we'll see if that statement actually rings true and if these teams have been able to improve upon those mistakes. I think it's important not to give them too much weight. It's not like they've had a lot of time really to improve upon those mistakes from then to now. They had 2 officials to play in between then, so realistically maybe 1 or 2 scrims at max on this map, so it's not like they've had a drastic amount of time to improve upon those mistakes. It does set up for such an incredibly close match, though. I cannot believe we're heading back to this map. I honestly would have thought that one of these teams would have just ruled it out first.
We say it a lot, guys, could go either way, and I think that sentiment rings true more than ever. That's going to be the pre-show done and the pre-match discussions done. We're ready to get right into Coastline. Order versus Chiefs, playoff spot on the line. It's going to be a barn burner.
Or a shed burner, because we are Australia, and we are Australian, I will say. And these are Australian teams, Raven. I cannot wait for this. This is a rivalry that we have known to be true for so long, and we are going back to a map that we have only just seen the other day, and it was as close as anything.
That was a super, super exciting game in OCN the other day on Coastline, so I'm really glad that they are going back to Coastline. I think we're going to see a solid repeat here of what we saw a few days ago.
Yeah, I think so. Well, it is time, ladies and gentlemen. We kickstart Playday 7 with Chiefs versus Order. It is a rivalry that runs thick and strong in this region, and everything is on the line. Playoffs loom for both of these teams. Should they win today, they will secure a spot. The loser, however, well, I dare say they will be feeling sore and sorry for themselves. Zofia banned instantly, and Ippy Style has been absolutely slaying on the Zofia lately.
He has. That has always been his signature plays on the Zofia, so that's the Chiefs doing him a bit dirty there, but look, I think it's a good ban. It's certainly a comfort for him, and he has been the real impact player.
I just love the banter that will forever remain true. Not only were these two rosters, just so closely matched in their last time out, but it does go to question how much of the Org's reputation has rubbed off on them as well. Both of these teams are in multiple titles together and have always been fighting it out for the supremacy of ANZ. And right now, Thatcher being banned out, Smoke to start us off on those defense bans, and the Mirror, which actually played a huge effect in that game just recently, Raven.
Yeah, actually, that's such a good point that you brought that up. Massive effect. And in fact, Order played it 100% of their defense rounds. So that's been banned out by Chiefs now. It's going to significantly change a lot of Order's defense setups, because you don't necessarily build strats around Mirror these days, but she can be a real linchpin for some of those strats, and she was in that match. It was something Chiefs really struggled to deal with. So yep. I like that ban for them. In fact, the bans in general are very different to that recent game that we saw.
It does beg to question, how much have both of these teams been kind of keeping an eye on or not even keeping an eye on how much have they really wanted to change, because Order in their ban phase in the previous map took out the Nomad and the Aruni, whereas Chiefs went for the Ace and the Valkyrie. So like you're saying, Raven, completely different operators that will not be used here. Now, the Lion just sees so much play. It's just a map for it, right? When you can kind of roam so freely, you definitely need to be bringing that. So I would likely say that we will just see so much of that. There's going to be a lot of roars today. But the one thing I do note, Raven, is Order on that 0. That is a pick that they have stuck now in this second matchup.
Yeah, 0 is he's still really developing in terms of the way he's used competitively, but I have loved some of the implementations of the way the Argus launcher is used, and those little cameras can be a really good way to supplement Flank Watch, for example. If you think about that, you can chuck those cameras in very interesting situations because you're shooting it, you're not having to jump a drone anywhere. On top of that, you can use a drone to then drone sight. You can't obviously use an Argus to get info on site. I mean, you can, but it's very static. So you can prioritize those drones for further info as opposed to Flank Watch, and I think that is a really strong aspect to Zero's gadget.
No doubt it will surely play an effect here. We saw Worthy and Vast, both of those players, very, I would say, versatile on their defense and sure to be a menace, to say the very least. So being able to keep an eye on them in certain factors is going to be quite a large play. Now that is Vast with the C4 early on here. Specker looking to take charge. God Legion manages to actually find Specker on an attempted rotate back to Hall of Fame. And Itby style, oh no, that's not the sign you want to be seeing. A headshot to start off with. This man, if he gets gunning, it is going to be incredibly hard to keep tabs on him.
Yeah, it looks like he's already playing quite confident and fluid as well. There's a good little trade there to get God Legion, but if I'm in the corner of the Chiefs, I would also be feeling like the pick on Specker was a good one. Taking out that Yana early is frag grenades, but also lots of info gathering from the Gemini Replicator. So, at least in terms of that trade, the Chiefs have probably come out on top.
And now, with 1:20 left, Raven, we are going to need to see what Order are going to decide to do. Aquarium looks to be, or Aqua for most, seems to be the big point of contention here. And quite early on as well, a minute, there's 3 players stacked across there with Joker just playing outside on Hookah. Curious to see what they're going to look for here. They still have the vertical pressure, and no one seems to be trying to isolate it right now. Digital actually nearly gets caught out. I don't know if that was a pre-fire or what that was, but nearly got him.
Yeah, he was lucky he didn't lose more health. And oh wait, Ipistar just lost a lot of health there to a C4, probably Digital's below. And Order have set up pretty nicely for this attack, and something that they're really strong at. They're pretty no-nonsense. Their attack setups at no-nonsense with the shots from Worthy. That's going to give Chiefs the man advantage going into this execute.
Okay, this is big. Cutie's going to be going in from Hookah right now. However, I just don't think the pressure's going to be enough. It's just not, it's not possible. This is huge from Chiefs. They start out the first round with 4 players left alive. What a statement here as they take their first defense and Hookah. They can move on now. Kitchen or bar? What is their preference?
Yeah, look, the Chiefs really stood up on that defense. Order had a good little entry phase. You know, they traded God Legion out over on the penthouse side of the map in Theater. And then they got really quick control of Aqua, but that was where they got stalled out. They knew there was going to be some vertical presence. It did come in the hands of Digital, and they didn't really deal with that. But at the same time, when they decided to go deep, they hadn't really destabilized the player in Drinks Bar. You know, they hadn't really gotten good vertical control from the roof, where you would normally get hard breach lines in through to the Drinks Bar. Top of that, they didn't have VIP presence, so nothing happening from Vase. It allowed the Chiefs to sit back, take their shots, cover each other, and you saw it. It was just an utter collapse.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Utter collapse is certainly true. Now, I'm not going to say it's on Order by any means, because regardless of what we see Coastline favored on nowadays, be it attack or defense, the last time these two teams played, it was definitely defender-sided. Both teams pushing 4-2
Attackers have located a
in
bomb.
the advantage. So most likely you will see Chiefs run away with an early lead, if not the lead of the half. And starting out with a really, really demanding round. I think for me, that's the big thing, is not just the fact that they're able to, you know, successfully take their first defense, but just how they've done it as well.
Defuse a bomb.
Be somewhat demoralizing. And I think one quick point I'm going to make, obviously, is Ippy Style, you know, the desk talked about it. Ippy Style, this is his last game in competitive Siege from all accounts. So you will want to keep an eye firmly on him, because if he is given room to move, he will destroy on this map.
Yeah, very confident fragger in general, but it feels like the amount of coastlines that we're seeing Ippy Style just go ham on is just, it's very numerous. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is another one in the books. Now, God Legion has been yellow pinged here. They know he's in this corner, but he's going to actually win that gunfight against Jack Daddy on the peek out. Did lose a lot of HP. Worthy was there to back him up as well. So this is a good start to the round here from the Chiefs.
That's another opening for God Legion. And if we're talking about players you don't want to see given that room, it is God Legion. He has been such a formidable player for the Chiefs for such a long time. What? I mean, like, we'll talk about that later, but that may well be a little bit of a detriment there. Where and how and why?
Oof. Huh? Yeah, not sure. Not sure what happened there. I guess we'll have to see whether that really still affects them late round, but it does give Order that man evenness, as well as the fact God Legion's low, so really this has put Order in a better position. Now, they have taken this east side of the map in through Kitchen. That means that these players in Sunrise Bar are going to really struggle to rotate out, and now Digital is under a lot of pressure. Cutie progresses, takes him out. Order looking much cleaner on this attack.
Digital has been a player that has, I mean, we just need to say it, he's been very quiet for the Chiefs, regardless of how well they've done in APAC South. They are teetering on the verge of pushing into top 4 and securing playoffs. But it's all Worthy. Does he? Baiting out. Cutie goes for the wide swing, but it is going to be the kill confirmed. As now God Legion and Fisher are the only that remain. Still with a little bit of vertical presence, but that may well be shut down. Joker gets swung while looking at the footsteps. I think he may have even been looking at which way they were going, Raven, but regardless, that gives them an opportunity now.
It does, but what is big here is there's no distance denial, and now it's all on the hands of Fisher guy. He's got vertical, he does light up Specker, but it is Ippy Style that's going to be able to confirm this plant. So post-plant situation here for Fisher guy, 1v3. Oof.
Well, there's no getting past Specker. I mean, I don't really think you could ever win that fight on someone holding you so tightly. At least it's a valiant effort, I guess. Give that for yourself. But just such a much... sorry, there we go. We're going to get there in the end. It's a much better round from Order. And just kind of touching on, you know, the previous match, it was a 50-50 bomb site from all accounts on... It was Chiefs defense. So them losing that early on, don't write that off yet, because there's just a clear of opportunity for us to see that side again, and most likely we may do. But we are going to Kitchen, and we move forward here, as I believe I just saw the Vigil. So, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, Vast looks like he's going to be trying to be a little elusive there on that vertical play, so see exactly how they end up utilizing that. Speaking of Vast, I just can't help but feel the last round really derailed for the Chiefs. As soon as Fisho, for whatever reason, C4'd his mate.
Yeah.
And once that was done, it just felt like it was a total train wreck for the Chiefs. Yeah. Hopefully they can tidy that up. But
yeah,
it looks like they are going to hold a pretty aggressive vertical position up here.
10 seconds left.
I do wonder as well whether that may have been a pre-prep C4 and an accidental press. I mean, I honestly don't know. We'll wait and see now. Moving forward here, I am really curious to see what Vast does and how they utilize the Vigil. Just because of how dense this map is, how close this is, it can be extremely hard to isolate him when he's not on Vigil, let alone when you can hide from pretty much any intel gatherer. But we'll hold on to that point for a moment here, because it is going to be Order that I think Order need to step up in this occasion. There were a couple of times we saw this kitchen defense on the last Playday, or the second last Playday of OCN, and it was it's just such a strange map to watch, but mostly it did favor the defense, so Chiefs should be sitting decently comfortable here with 2 minutes left.
Both teams very spread out at the moment as well. Looks like there's going to be some beautiful little backup there from the Chiefs. Gold Legion's going to get that opening pick, but it's going to be traded. Oh, not confirmed yet. In fact, it looks like Vast is going to be picked up. But again, these entry phases for the Chiefs have been really strong on the defense side. They are really putting up a forward front to Order's entry.
Spotted backing to sight on that EE1D. And they will be clearing out lobby now, as maybe starting to get an idea of the attack that they want. Cutie. I mean, that pre-fire just misses Fisho Guy's head. And that second floor presence has well and truly been established. But you do wonder now, how much time do Order have to bait through? We don't have, obviously, the smoke up, which would play such a pivotal role here. So, what's the play? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it does get tricky, because Kitchen is all about getting this vertical control, flushing your opponent out. It's really hard to anchor on Kitchen when your opponent has vertical control, and this is what you're seeing. The Chiefs have all spread out. Fisher looks like he's the solo on site. And they've got some really good crossfires here. And Digital's going to get aggressive on the cool vibe stairs. God. He takes out Jack Dad. The Chiefs putting up a great fight here in Order with only 25 seconds. It's going to make it tough to get through for this plant.
This is just going to be so awkward, Raven, because even if they try to push him here, they've still got Vast to worry about in blue bar. But my word, how does Digital find a second there? Joker's going to double down. He will find both players, but now in a 2 versus 3, it's going to come down to the wire. And Worthy, oh, from Luggage, that is the gnarly line. That Order we're not expecting. And that is such a strong round for the defensive side of Chiefs.
I just think in general, that round was always going to be tough for Order as soon as they lost that entry pick, just because of the way that the Chiefs were spread out. You might think that, yeah, you could isolate those as 1v1s and try and bring it back that way, but they were spread out in a way that they could still all cover each other or trade. And just made it really tricky for Order. So Order just prioritized getting the vertical control, as they should. That was very helpful, but after that, they were just stuck. And I came down to trying to get Digital out of that position at the bottom of Cool Vibe Stairs that was covered by Vast. It all had this big flow-on effect. So really well played from the Chiefs, honestly. And I think this game feels like it's going to come down to who can step up with these attacks, which feels so weird to say for Coastline. Because for the longest time, it's just been a map that you could comfortably attack on. But just in this matchup between these two teams, it's a bit opposite.
I'm going to go ahead and make a bit of a statement about the last time these two teams played, and it's going to lean into this map right now, this game. I honestly think that the Chiefs lost it. I don't think the Order won it in, the traditional sense that we talk about. I think that it was Chiefs' game from really the first half, and for whatever reason, it looked a little bit disjointed on their attacks. Like you're saying, Raven, it will come down to the attacks, but I honestly think that provided Chiefs don't give it away so freely here, we could really see just such a dominant game from them. And, Worthy, where have you been caught? How have you been
Looks like-
caught?
Yeah, I think he
No.
was actually spawn picking kitchen. So
Oh,
I mean,
man.
that's on him. I thought maybe he was running past and it was a pre-fire, but no, I think he was trying to be a bit cheeky there, and it's come back to bite him pretty hard.
And, I mean, Digital double down, I guess. Eat your heart out, you may as well. Try to do something. Cutie going to be spotting him out there, and now he's stuck. He's actually going to go back up Cool Vibes and get away from Itby Style just in time, who was hot on his heels. Oh, it's coming down to little less than a pixel in it, Raven, but Digital holds onto his life for at least a minute longer here. As Order, this is the start they would have been praying for. They can now go to town on figuring out how they wish to attack Hookah.
Yeah, already a much more positive start for them as compared to round one. Last time they attacked Hookah, they actually lost the opening pick. It's God Legion over Specker, and I think they're looking a lot firmer already in this round. It's only halfway though, so see how it falls apart. God Legion is going to get out of there, but Itby Style is on a heater. He's now on the triple for the round, and it is disintegrated for the Chiefs in the last 10 seconds.
It certainly has. All but into dust. And now it's Digital and God Legion to bring it back. I just don't see a world in which they will be doing this, especially with Digital falling at the hands of Specker. But this is just not doable. Order have looked phenomenal so far.
This would have to be the biggest ace clutch of God Legion's entire career right now if he's to pull this one back. 1v4. Order are all in fantastic post-plant positions. Cutie, though, caught sleeping on the rappel. But with the time now against God Legion, it's a big task.
He's made noise coming up Cool Vibes as well. They know his direct position. He can't take a hint of damage. And Joker will receive the walk directly up the stairs. For now, we have evened it out 2-2. And once again, you know, was it really necessary for Worthy to peak there? I get the confidence. Worthy has been a nutty player for Chiefs in APAC South and OCN as well, but is it worth giving Order an opportunity back into this half?
I think that's a really good point. On top of that, this is a bit of a personal preference thing. I think spawn picking Kitchen is one of the worst spawn picks on Coastline because it's so easy to pre-fire from a few different positions. It's also easy to see from a drone outside. It looks like maybe that's what happened with Itby Style, is that they knew he was there. And that's the dangerous thing with spawn picking, is if your opponent knows, you're probably toast. It's so much easier to pre-fire as an attacker.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
Well, we're seeing Rook for... I mean, this is fresh to my eyes. I haven't seen Rook in a very long time in competitive play, so... That could just be me, though. And they are the only two impacts that they will have, but... They'll have a vest each to play with, Raven.
It's an interesting pick. I'm thinking it's for the 2x, Manic, because there's not many defenders that have access to a 2x.
Yep.
And Vast is running the 2x right now, so maybe it's to do with that. Is he going to spawn peek as well?
5 seconds.
Looks like he might be... I mean, he's drone hunting, but... No, he's going to run away. I was getting excited. But yeah, I think it's for the 2x, if anything. Maybe they're looking to implement a long angle. Could be playing Courtyard with that 2x or something. I don't know, but it is... Yeah, it's not a pick you see often.
Okay, so that last impact has opened an incredibly long line from from Billiards all the way through to VIP. So that, like you're saying, Raven, may well be the play here. And depending on whether Order spot this, I mean, like, you just assume that they're going to drone this and see that it is the Rook. But depending on if they drone this or not, they may actually think that they're, you know, in the advantage for that long-range fight. In which case they could be copying a firm fist from Vast, and Cutie taking out Worthy once more. Not the 2 rounds that we had been hoping for from him. And it has left this door open completely for Order.
Has been answered back, and that's Specker going down again. Digital, oh, he gets the double onto Jack Dad. But to your point, Manic, I think this... I'm I'm not really sure exactly how Worthy died, to be completely honest with you, but these early picks are really punishing the Chiefs, on top of the fact that Worthy has been one of their best players the entire stage. Very consistent and very impactful, especially late rounds. So to lose him early, it's always going to hurt.
Okay, bringing Mute. It's obviously stunted just a little bit there. The push for Order, seemingly not with a lot of information onto Digital right now. They are currently watching very firm from the outside kitchen window, and Digital, he just needs to sit. I mean, the longer he sits, the better. He could even pull out that pulse scanner and detect both the players that are sitting there. They're going to send it in here and hope for the trades. Digital gets his head ripped off by Joker, and Vast just makes it away in time. But once more, tit for tat, and they've lost the better part of nearly 2.5 minutes here, Raven.
That was a good time burn. I really thought Vast was going to try and peek for the trade, but in the end, it was probably a good option not to. He might have got the double, but with the two Order players jumping in, it may have been even more of a trade and not worth it. So, you're right. It was a big time burn. Only 30 seconds to go now for Order. And oh my god, Joker is so lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Oh, at the moment, God Legion just stops Zippy Style from pushing on in. Vast can watch the line, and Joker's left with it all to do. Chiefs storm away with their third round of a half, and all things considered, Digital has really stepped up when they needed it.
Yeah, he had a really big double there. Losing Worthy early, we thought was going to be a very tough position for Chiefs to bring back, especially given that Blue Bar Sunrise is one they lost pretty dramatically in round 2. But yeah, to Digital's credit, he played fantastically in kitchen. He got that double, and he played so patient. I don't mind that they just jumped in and killed him, because I reckon it was at least 40 seconds that they were camped at that window before they decided to do so. That is effective play as a roamer. Sometimes you do just have to stand there and accept they're probably going to jump in, they're probably going to swing on me. I'll try kill them, but I'm going to die here. And I just think it was really well executed from the Chiefs, on top of the fact that Vast didn't actually go for that trade, because if he did, maybe he would have lost that gunfight, and it would have been a man disadvantage in that final phase.
And you would have lost the control of Sunrise Bar, and you know, there's so many it's the thing with a game like Siege, there's so many dominoes that line up for you to be able to hold a site or hold a specific section of the map, and for 2 to fall, it could almost annihilate the entire setup. And you know, who was that on the Rook? You said it was Vast? Was it? Yeah. So I mean, like, Vast just backed away into Sunrise, still had those double reinforced walls next to the bar entrance, so he just had so much time to play with. And again, he dies. Maybe that's not the case, we just don't know, but nevertheless, I don't think Order will want to be wasting that much time again trying to lock down a player like Digital. Well, any player, sorry. That was not meant to be a dig at Digital, I promise. That was just meant to be any player. It doesn't make a difference. The timing from Cutie nearly caught him, in fact. But he does make it away through to the cool vibes, and I think this may be the quietest start to a round we've seen so far.
Yeah, it does feel like we've gotten a lot deeper than previous rounds without an opening pick. So still waiting for that one. I think the important note there, though, especially if you're a Chiefs fan, is that Worthy isn't the opening pick in the first 20 seconds in this round, as he was the last two. Oh, Digital. Oh, Digital. You're looking at somebody. And that was Iffy Style. He's going to get that pick. Cam's gone. And, oh my god, this is a great start from Order, but he's whiffed. It's traded at least, Manic.
I mean, I guess you got to take your wins where you can get them. Although it's only 1 kill, it is Ippy Style. Jack Daddy is low too. The Chiefs are on kitchen, just to remind you. And now this is the really tricky part, because we've seen so many times on this site specifically, man advantages go to waste on the attacking side. Sometimes because of time, sometimes because of unbelievable plays. But yeah, you saw that. That was so close. That may have been a really big piece of the puzzle. Oh, yeah, that one is.
Yeah, I think Chiefs are still too keen to peek here. They have so much time still on the board, and again with Kitchen, it's as soon as you give too much an advantage to the other team, it's so tough to defend. Like, you can kind of retake it, you can defend from the long angles, but it's really not easy, and you also can't defend on site easily, especially without a smoke. I think that's a strong band there from Order. Does make Kitchen pretty hard to defend. So Order right now are really in the box seat to get a 3-3 half, which is incredibly representative of this matchup.
Vast needs to stay alive here. In my opinion, he... well, I mean, if Vast had to stay alive, Fisher Guy could absolutely not die, but that pretty much crumbles the round just like that. And now Vast is just caught in the middle of it. Order with an incredible response to what Chiefs have done so far. A half ends 3 apiece.
Yeah, that was a good, real back and forth half. And I don't have a read right now who I feel like has better momentum, because it literally just went trade after trade in terms of the round count. Chiefs Order, Chiefs Order, Chiefs Order. It just felt like the Order were adapting to what the Chiefs were doing well on defense, and then vice versa. So, yeah, it's a really telling half, as we were talking about earlier, Matic. It's going to come down to who can excel in their attack half. Now, Order, wouldn't say they excelled because it was a 3-3 half. So it's now on the Chiefs.
Not only did it go back and forth, by the way, but from what I can see, Hookah, Kitchen, and Bar were won on both sides. It wasn't like we were seeing a reattempt from Chiefs that were losing them. It was pretty even, and I think that really goes to show the matchup at OCN, you know, much to my disappointment, it was definitely not a fluke. It was not that one-off. And Order are looking quite strong, all things considered. They are in with an incredibly good opportunity, considering how defender-sided we have seen Coastline in their previous map. But, I mean, in saying that, the bans are completely different, Raven. They've lost 2 pivotal players for that defense that we saw work to good effect in the smoke and also the mirror. So we won't hold our breaths just yet.
Yeah, no, look, I'm totally going to grab onto your point there. Again, just remind everybody, Order played mirror 100% of their coastline defenses in the last map we saw these two play. So without that mirror, they've heavily, well, not heavily, but they will have to significantly change their lineup. Now, Cutie is playing the Valkyrie. That was banned last time by the Chiefs. So instead of the mirror up, they've got the Valkyrie. And it's going to just be a matter of whether this works out just as well for them or not, or whether the Chiefs manage to counter this better.
I'm super curious right now to see how well they enable a player like Ippy Style in his current form to really go off. Spec Up, speaking of current form, has been taken down. And there will be no impact that he will have right now. Obviously, the Banshee is still yet to play their effect. What a very spread right now with 2 players completely on the other side. Vast ducking and weaving through the C4 mess.
Jackdad just not quite hitting anything right now. Fortunately, poor man's on a donut. That C4 didn't quite hit the mark either. This is where Order are looking like they're just going to dig deep and hold and not try and give too much away to the Chiefs, because, of course, time is starting to get on the later side of the round, and the Chiefs have not put a lot of pressure actually on site. It's been really a lot about hunting these roamers and clearing out the map and figuring out what is in front of them. Now, it looks like there is a heavy rotate coming to the Hookah side here.
Oh, it looks like Jack Daddy has been spotted out. Yep, that is 100% confirmed. God Legion knows exactly where he is. Really cautious to not lose this fight. Love that from Cutie. Drops down the hatch to give his teammate the support he needs. But they have traded that for an extra man on site. That's an enormous run out from Cutie. And it pays dividends with 40 seconds left, Raven. Have Order just made the call of a lifetime?
That is big, but I think that means there's one off-site and one playing Cool Vibe stairs. They now have that info. No, actually, Cutie has retaken through luggage, but this is going to be a hookah plant, Manic. They're smoked off the line. They've got 20 seconds. They're going to have to push hard.
Oh, if Digital loses that, it turns into a 2-on-2 with only 1 point of attack. Cutie could still go massive here. He's got the C4. Is that going to be a double kill? How is Fisho Guy still alive? No way, Cutie! You cannot be allowed to do this right now. Swings wide. Fisho Guy clutches up massively because that was rolling away for Order. What an attempt.
Oh, that was a really big round from Cutie. He turned that one on its head. It felt like the Chiefs just had the right momentum to carry them through to a win. That run out, on top of the drop down, okay, I'm going to string this together. He dropped down the hatch. He saved Jack Dad. Jack Dad still died, but at least it was a trade as opposed to them going behind. But then Cutie ran out, got the huge flick onto Worthy, put it in an even position, and then, yeah, he almost clutched that out in a 1v1. Absolute phenomenal effort from him. But also, not to discredit Fisho, played that perfectly. He knew he was planting at 7 seconds, so he could stick it without Cutie doing the 0-second rush, but he heard it coming already, and he pulled off. It was really well played from Fisho in the end to secure it. And that was an exciting round, I tell you what.
It certainly was. That would have been one of the nastiest clutches I've ever seen. I mean, if Fisho hadn't have pulled off that diffuser in time running back out of Hookah Door, he would have been killed by that C4 as well, to which Digital was killed at Cool Vibes only a second later. So that definitely was actually on the edge of possibility. And as we now look at it, the Chiefs, sure, they take that round and they're happy to have done so. But I think the key point, once again, is how they were able to do that. They did look strong from start to finish, and it took a lot of magic from Cutie to even make that look close or doable. So that is a good starting point on their attack. But like we saw in the last half, back and forth just seems the way it is at the moment between these two teams. So don't get your hopes up yet.
Now, for those that may be wanting to follow the Ippy style storyline of can he get to the 2.0 KD, thanks to some maths from our friends, our other co-casters, if he's on 6 deaths, which he is, he's going to have to get 14 unanswered kills total. So
Yikes.
9 more kills without dying, basically, to close out the game, if he's going to get a 2.0 KD.
I mean, if you're Chiefs, you'd be really happy at the fact you've been able to keep him quiet for now, but there's no telling when and if he will come back into that form that we've seen him in for so long now. And having said that, Jack Daddy's still just holding on to Study with a little bit of pressure being applied both ways. But it doesn't look like Chiefs are overly interested in really pushing it just yet. Fisho Guy just applying a little bit more. Once more. Minute 30 left, and that's the pick that they've been looking for, that they've been praying for. The prayers have been answered.
Big pick. It's 2 rounds in a row now for Specker. He's been the opening death, so he's really having a rough one. In fact, it's the 4th time in the game he's been the opening death. Really not working out for him, but as we've seen, Order have been able to really bring it back even from that tough start, and Vast has now been downed. So, if he's not recovered, it will be even. Main thing I'm noticing here, Manic, though, is this has been a significant time. There's almost 2 minutes burned.
Yeah. Oh, the thing is, I don't know if Jack Daddy knows that he has been injured. Goodness me, that was awfully close. Some incredible trades to come through, though. And with Vast being picked back up, there's not enough time here for Order to be able to waste. Or, though you couldn't imagine, especially with Cutie being droned out now too.
There's a little part of me that hopes that he fat-fingered and pushed G, just because it would have been really funny, but not to be. He's picked her up, and they know that he's here. Worthy hunts him down. It's going to be a 1v3 for Ippystar, the man of the hour.
Here it is. This is where the storyline begins for Order. On the back of a 1 versus 4, is it achievable? There's no better person to be in that situation. Digital does his job and does it well. That is the first time we've seen back-to-back rounds and a half. And Chiefs now are looking incredibly dangerous.
They are. They really are. They're starting to look pretty comfortable on these attacks. And the main thing I'm noticing is it just doesn't feel like any of their deaths are going unanswered right now. They're very effective with these trades, and that's what's really affecting Order, is they're not being able to get this man advantage where they're able to kind of overwhelm the Chiefs' attacks when they finally get to executes. It's in fact the opposite. So hats off to the Chiefs and the way they've been showing up in these attacks. We said that it felt like the kind of match that was going to come down to who can excel with these attacks. Now it's just about, can the Chiefs maintain consistency with the way this is going? Because Order, in that other match the other night, they adapted really well to the way the Chiefs are attacking. So it almost feels like that might be what's coming.
Dokubi, good to see you join the server. Every once in a while, we're graced with our presence. I mean, I've got a theory craft here, but I feel like it may be to help counter what Cutie's brought in the Valkyrie. It is a lot of information that is definitely not an easy task of dismissing, and I guess really the only other sound way of dealing with it, Raven, is to bring that IQ. I mean, this is all theory crafting right now, so
5 seconds to go.
I would love to see if that is any effect for them. Regardless, though,
Locate and defuse a bomb.
Order have to get around now. They just can't let Chiefs bully them like this. And they are re-attempting that hookah defense.
Dokubi could also be to potentially assist with roam clear. You know, it can help you not have to be as thorough with drones, because if you call as you drone through a section even, you can start to hear the phones buzzing, and it tells you like, oh, I hear a buzz, I need to drone thoroughly. If you hear nothing, you can generally assume it's safe. Now, there's no mute on the side of Order. That is the hard counter to Dokubi's calls. So yeah, if you are droning and you have a Dokubi call go off, a logic bomb, then if you don't hear a buzz, you know that that whole section's clear.
Okay. Slowly but surely now, this time is going to wither. And if remained unanswered, Chiefs are going to be in a firm position, Ippy style. I mean, look, he doesn't go undroned. I mean, if he goes undroned, yeah, that would be pretty scary. We saw Cutie in a similar position on Tuesday night, but they will not be making that mistake. Chiefs thoroughly drone and find him out early on.
Attackers drop.
Joker, though, that's a nice early pick. That's Fisho guy going down. And as far as I'm aware, 2 of the Selma charges with it.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser. Bomb
Yes, they've
located
used
by
that ace primarily to try and flush out that theater position, and it looks like the Chiefs are just going to rotate. Now, this is something that I'm surprised they didn't do earlier, because something they got punished on the other night was they constantly tried to flush out that theater roam. It was Ippy in particular that was just going ham, and it wasn't working out for them. So they're ignoring it now, but they've lost Fisho in the process. Joker with a big pick onto Digital. Order finally with a solid man advantage.
Wowzers. That is a way to respond, my God. God Legion has been another animal so far in this matchup and continues to be the demise of Order. You said it, Raven. They had a great advantage, and how quickly that has been dismissed.
Really has. God Legion stepping up. It was mentioned on the desk. If God Legion is up and firing, then the Chiefs seem to be winning their matches. Here he is on 11 and 6. They've set themselves up for a decent execute. And they get this plant down.
Oh, Worthy coming from behind on the Dokubi will be able to catch out Jack Daddy, and now it's just about burning this out. Can they hold in time? It looks like the diffuser is going to be confirmed with no vertical pressure. It's not possible. Now, in a 2 versus 2, Worthy stepping up massively. That is map point and playoffs point for the Chiefs.
Now, you've brought it up, Manic. Playoffs point it is. If the Chiefs win this next round, not only do they win the map, they will book themselves a spot in APAC playoffs. Conversely, Order have now, even if they come back and win this in overtime, they cannot guarantee themselves playoffs. Now, they can put themselves in the window, but it will rely on the result of 7th Heaven and Q-Confirm later. So that's a pretty big deal in the camp of Order. It's now basically out of their hands. If they get 5 rounds in a row, for example, and win 8-6, they're still not guaranteed in playoffs. And definitely as a team and as players, that's a terrible feeling. You hate your fate being in another team's hands.
Well, Chiefs may well just rip it out of their hands altogether. The first half looked so promising from Order. And now as the tides have turned, the Chiefs are starting to wither away at what was the potential for a sensational match. And if left unresponsed right now, it will 100% just fall into the nothingness for Order. I mean, you can't take away, they've had some pretty good performances in APAC South, but this is the big one. And Chiefs have almost booked their spot at the playoffs. It is so close.
Let's talk about that. That's a really big deal. It's APAC playoffs. They're not just going to be playing against other South teams. It's also going to be some of the APAC North teams. So that gives them even more experience to the broader APAC region. And that cements their name up there with some of the best in the APAC region. You know, top 8 in particular of all of APAC. That's a really big milestone for this team. So this round really does mean a lot. And potentially the subsequent rounds if it doesn't go to OT. But this is the thing. They have to lock it in. They have to nail it now. They've done 3 consecutive successful attacks. It's time to close it out.
Devil's advocate here. Chiefs were on map point at 6-4 against Order on Sunday night, and they lost it on this map. Will history repeat itself right now? God Legion continuing to be the menace for the Chiefs, and he may well open the bank account once again. It is the kitchen defense here. And with no successful attempts so far for Order on their defensive half, we have nothing to go off but Chiefs' dominant form.
Yeah, and look, this is a really great play here from Jackdad. He's just placed a new mute jammer on his person. So both the Lion Scan and the Logic Bomb from Dockerby are not affecting him right now. No drones pursued. It looks like God Legion is actually just going to try and hold him from this position. And this is good patience from the Chiefs. Solid rotate down from the vertical though from Order, and that's Ippy style caught on that rotate by Fisher Guy.
It was about this time when things started to go crunch for the Chiefs. The minute and a half seems to be used as a bit of a separation and preparation for what lies ahead. And right now, Order look to be somewhat scrambling, trying to reposition, because if Chiefs continue to take this map control, it's going to be devastating. Worthy is now going to town on Order, and it is almost time. It is the 11th hour, Raven.
It is. This could be 50 seconds for Order just to hang in there, or 50 seconds away from the Chiefs locking in APAC playoffs. 5 versus 3. Chiefs have a lot of control over through Sunrise here. Looks like they're aiming for a kitchen plant. Order still all very much spread out, and Cutie does have this vertical control. Joker on the flank as well with the Ella shotgun, but Chiefs are all over this.
You feel like you would want that shotgun on site right now because it could really do some damage. The Chiefs, they are setting up. They are preparing. The last 15 seconds, and Specker hits an unbelievable shot. It's answered back by Digital. God Legion catches the rotate, and with Cutie that stands between one and none, he has to get something done. He'll try to rotate, but in a 1 versus 4, Chiefs on playoffs point, they managed to claw it out, and a 6-3 victory against Order. Raven, they are going to the APAC playoffs.
Absolutely huge performance from the Chiefs in the end. A 7-3, that is a strong scoreline, not dropping a single attack round in the second half. Now, we highlighted a bit, Manic. We felt like it would come down to who excels on attack. Wow, it seriously did. The Chiefs did not drop one, and that's got them the win.
I mean, the win condition coming into this was partly God Legion playing incredible, and that is exactly what he has done. The call has been answered, and at a moment of need, the Chiefs pull through. History will not repeat itself on Coastline.
Will not. And look, I would love to think that maybe it did come down to the bans, because what the Chiefs really struggled with against Order in their previous encounterment that we talked about a lot really was the mirror. The mirror was 100% pick rate for Order. It was significant in their defenses. With none of that played tonight, they didn't win a single defense. I can't help but think that was a big factor.
I mean, at the end of the day, a big factor or not, I can't believe how dominant the Chiefs looked in that second half, Raven. I'd love to be able to hear a little bit more, and I guess the people to give us those answers may well be the desk. So Xenox, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Robbo. What a game that was. Chiefs just too good in the end. Clinical. They are deserved victors and going into the playoffs as well. Couldn't be more excited for them, guys, considering their brand of siege that we saw in Coastline Dev was just immaculate to watch.
Yeah, really impressive game from Chiefs. You just see the way that they turned a new leaf since their last spout on that map. Really exciting for them to have such a strong game, especially on that attacking side. I think Raven keyed into it really, really well, mentioning that mirror ban coming out from Chiefs and how that affected Order on Order's own defense. And they were really struggling. Me and guys were having a bit of a chat about it during the game while we were watching, and Chiefs were just dissecting Order. They would position people outside in really safe positions outside the map, whether that's on the roof, outside the blue bar window, outside office, and they would just start to increase the pressure, turn the torque up constantly on these Order players, and there was just nothing left for Order to do there. Chiefs played that so well. They put the pressure on Order until they were forced to move, and then they would punish them. And that's what led to Chiefs actually having a flawless attack half, which is a massive surprise considering the last time these two played, it was actually a defense-favored match.
Yeah, and I think another key component to that second half when the Chiefs were attacking was their relentless drone work. It felt like almost every time we were spectating an Order defender, they were impacting a drone, shooting a drone, wary of drones. And not only were they droning, but they're also playing off that intel and harassing those defenders, as Dev mentioned. So really clinical work there from the Chiefs. And they brushed Order aside. Like, they weren't really that difficult of an opponent. And we painted this picture that this is going to be a lot closer than it really was in the end.
And I think rightfully so, though. It was only 4 days ago that we saw that 8-7 match on Coastline, and it's a very different Chiefs lineup that came out to play tonight. And in fairness, also a bit of a different Chiefs Order lineup because they just didn't quite look switched on for this matchup. But a team that was switched on, of course, was the Chiefs, and we're going to have an interview with one of my favorite players in the scene. It is Didge, smiling ever as always. Firstly, congratulations on making the playoffs in APAC South. It's been a great couple of days for you guys, Didge. You're high in the gauntlet. You've got a good position there in OCN, and now you're making APAC South playoffs. Just give us some insight into how the whole team's feeling.
Feeling well. It's always good to have be on like a little win streak. So, our team's in the highs. But we've done a lot of work in the last week or so it's good to see the results follow.
Yeah, I'm keen to dig into that work a little bit. The boys on the cast theorized that maybe the bans played a big factor in this match, playing out quite differently to the OCN matchup. Was that the case, and were there any other factors that allowed you guys to be much more dominant on this occasion?
I mean, we just did like the mirror ban on this map because we don't really, I don't know, they use it a lot. Whereas we can use it, but I don't know, we felt like they liked it a lot more. So ban that, and then the Zoph, feel like he just like, Jane just like catches on it a little bit. So I feel like we just ban that. We know Jake is a demon on either Ash or the Zoph. So we just ban Zoph for a bit of fun there, I guess. Nothing too in depth about the bans, but just those two, I guess.
Yeah, I want to dig in. Aside from the operator bans themselves, the map veto system. Like, we went back to Coastline, which you guys already played in OCN. You lost that game to Order. You guys really struggled on your attack, and it was overall a really defensive favored game. and you come in today, you win every single attack round. And Order also had an improvement on their attack. They won 3 in regulation as opposed to 2. So, what went into the preparation to try and fix your problems on Coastline? What was it you identified last time you played Order that you needed to improve, and how did you work on that?
Last time we versed Order, our Ds were really good, and we feel like Ds are really good today as well. Like 3-3 and 4-2 on OCN. Like those Ds halves are really good for Coast. And our attacks on that OCN, like some of our Hooker attacks weren't that really, like played it really bad, and we had like 2 kitchen attacks that failed because of a mirror or a player in service, like playing aggressive. So some really easy fixes on that front, which we put into place today. And today as well, it felt like it was really easy to isolate these players. Like it just, like, these guys found themselves stuck. We just droned them, and then utility, and then, yeah, I don't know. We just, like, cleared them out. So, no, today felt well. And the attacks were clean today. And the Ds were still good. I feel like there were some rounds where we could have, we lost, like, we got into our own heads, like, got too aggressive, maybe. But you need that on Coastline, so you can't really blame yourself.
Now, just quickly,
Mate.
Dij, before we round things up, one last question, one cheeky question. Obviously,
Greedy.
guys, you've qualified for the playoffs now. Is there any team that you're looking at as maybe being a difficult opponent, or just a team that you're really excited to play against?
I mean, Knights would be cool to play against. Like, I feel like they're like a really good opponent, but I feel like we could take it to any team, I guess. But I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I just want to verse the boys, so yeah, that'd be a nice little matchup.
All right, mate. Before we let you go, final shout outs before we see you in the playoffs.
Just shout out my teammates. Thank you for playing well tonight, boys. Shout out to the fans, everyone watching as well. I don't know why I look to the sky to think of it. No, just shout out to the fans, everyone watching. Sport means a lot. Sport's huge. And yeah, thanks to Chiefs. Excited for the playoffs. And yeah, just for the future as well. So yeah, cheers for the cast as well, boys.
Exciting times ahead, mate. You keep getting better and better, and apparently you're just going to get sent away before we say goodbye to Dij. Look, guys, as a team, the Chiefs continue to get better and better. Dev, I feel like there's even more that we could see from them in the future. Maybe it won't be here in the playoffs. It could be a stage 2 thing, but they're getting closer to their peak.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming into this year, right, Chiefs, when they were Elevate, they weren't looking very good. Last year was a big disappointment for them. They went from, at the start of 2020, being the second best team in the region from Pro League, and then they ended up only getting 5th place at the end of OCN, knocked out by an underdog team in the playoffs. And this season, like this year, they came in, they brought in Fisho Guy. I think that was a big moment for them, and then an even bigger moment when they were picked up by the Chiefs. And I think this team has absolutely turned a new leaf. I think it's only upwards from here, and I'm really excited to see what they have to show in playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs is just going to be insane. If they can somehow build upon this form that they've established at the back end, it's going to be nuts. And I know that we've labelled them as being inconsistent quite a bit throughout stage 1 already, but if they can just shred that expectation and come out of the gates really strong, who knows what the height is for this team. I don't think, we haven't met their final form, and that could be very scary in the playoffs.
I mean, I'll just say a consistent Chiefs team could very well rival Knights and elevate for top spot in APAC South. That's what their best could very well be. They got to prove it though in the playoffs. They have secured their spot. 2 teams, of course, before we come back from the break, that have secured their playoff positions. Knights and Elevate, the battle for top spot, the match of the day. You do not want to go too far. Make sure you come back for this upcoming match.